Hi, everyone.
Hello, I am Allie,
And I'm Andre.
and this is the Love is Blind podcast.
That's right. And
All
we are
right.
here for episode 3.
3.
Ooh.
Yes, of the 4 that were just released.
Yeah.
This episode is titled
This episode is
titled
Blindsided.
Blindsided, and the description
Yeah, this is a smooth running.
Okay, this episode is titled Blindsided.
There we go.
And the description is a real life reveal follows the first proposal in the pods. Torn between a sizzling connection and a safer choice, one woman questions her instincts.
And for some reason, we were left to be unsure about which one the sizzling connection and which the one the safer choice was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Oh, so here's another interesting thing. After doing that second episode, we were like, actually, this is a much better way of approaching these episodes. And so instead of doing a watch along, we're just going to
We're going to do the summary, yeah.
It just worked
As
a
we
lot better,
flip
and we
through.
were able to kind of talk about everything a little bit more distance without talking over the episode. And I think overall it worked out better. But if anybody out there would rather us do a watch
Shout
along,
it on out.
just
Yeah.
let us know.
Compare EP1 and EP2.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
All right.
But as you'll recall, at the end of episode 2, we left with the doors about to open on JP and Taylor for it to be revealed, is love blind?
And Taylor, I will have to put that out there right away, is like that gap in your teeth.
Yes.
Ooh, wow. I was like, okay, they're cute. They're looking great. And then she's like, I wouldn't have gone for somebody like him with a gap
Yeah.
in his teeth.
Well, and the way she's saying it too is so like, love is blind. Totally. I would never have gone for JP in the real
never.
world. He's got that tooth gap, but now that I'm in love, I don't care.
Speaking as a tooth-capped man, look, that comment was devastating to me. But it is what it is.
I also don't really truly see it. I mean, I never, when I was looking at JP, thought, oh, that guy's got a tooth gap. There's a still that we have on the screen right now that shows him with his mouth open. And if I'm staring at it, yeah, sure, I can see. But it was a non-issue for me. And that she's saying this as like proof that she's in love. And she doesn't care about this horrible disfigurement.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
But otherwise, they were pretty cute together. We're seeing, like, there's a lot, like, he's being really adorable and huggy and smiley. And I believe that when we saw this, our commentary was very, very classic American couple. Just very
Meat and potatoes.
meat and potatoes.
Yeah, they're like decidedly fine.
Yeah. Decidedly fine.
They're no Lauren and Cameron, as I mentioned. No Brett and Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Nick and Danielle.
Yeah. So after that scene, we kind of navigate to, we just see a little bit of Stacy writing a poem for Izzy. That was a fun time. Good poem. Did you like the poem?
It was good vibes. It was her being fun, which we all know. If Stacy's one thing,
She's
fun. It's fun. But then
we start seeing Izzy, just making the active turn away from Johnny because of that particular. I thought that he was going to just own up and be like, I think I was drunk, and I think I kind of took that a little bit too hard. But no, he doubles down and is like, you know what? That kind of sucked. It was a lot more fun with Stacy. I didn't want to hear about this dead ex-boyfriend and ex-husband. Like, I think he just did not want any of that, which is real sad. And you can see him making the active choice to then be like, you know what? I'm going to go with Stacy.
with the other one. Yeah, no, his drunk, and I think also his attachment trauma, his fear of being abandonable just got really activated, and Stacy hadn't done that yet
Yeah.
until she did.
Yeah, and I mean, in the next scene, they kind of talk to each other and they kind of open up that their biggest fear for both of them is the fear of abandonment. And then we see Stacy literally for the first time on the show just kind of get a little bit emotional, which is it almost felt like, see, I can be vulnerable too, but because not to flash forward, but that scene later indicates a little bit that she continues to still have issues with expressing emotions.
Yes. She's got to be the fun, cool girl always.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable she's an avoidantly attached person. Being vulnerable is not an okay way to be. Yes.
Yeah.
And she represents, of course, just there's a range of avoidant attachment, right? So
Yeah.
I want to be clear about that one. I'm using it more colloquially.
By the way, what I really like about whenever Stacy's name comes up, and you know how all of them have their little job titles underneath, and hers just says operations manager.
Yes.
For some reason, it reads to me as though has a credit on the show.
Produced by
Yeah.
Stacey Leanne Rhymes.
Operations manager. I mean, for the show, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, I work here, but also I wanted to be on the show.
What if Stacey actually just is Leanne Rhymes and she is a producer on the show?
Look, very possible.
Yeah, it could
We
be.
wouldn't put it past Netflix.
Speaking of which, like a couple of years ago, I saw this like documentary that was like on Leanne Rhymes. What is she doing now?
What is she
And
doing now?
amazing things. I basically want her life. She wakes up, she does like yoga,
Okay.
she works out with her personal trainer, then she meditates for like an hour. And then
Okay.
she spends her afternoons. At the time she was like doing this project where she was making candles and singing as she made them so that the wax would capture some sort of pitch of her voice, and she's selling these candles. And then she spends her evenings
Archaeoacoustics.
sitting on her beautiful mansion in the hills, watching the sunset go down over the beach.
I mean, look. Overall, you're describing a pretty fun life.
Yeah, I want to be Leanne Rhymes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can go for that. But
And
anyway,
then you're on Love Is Blind.
yep. You know, when I'm sick of my candle making, I can pop over to Love Is Blind.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Try to write some bad poetry about Izzy.
Right. But yeah, she does open up once more, proving that the only way to fall in love is by trauma dumping.
Yeah.
It feels different to me this season. I'm trying to remember back to pod episodes of earlier seasons.
Oh, how much sort of opening up of this kind there was?
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be. I don't know. I might be misremembering, but this one seems almost like there's this quid pro quo of I've told you about something traumatic from my past, and you're going to tell me about something from yours, and that thus we're in love.
Look, there's a lot of. I mean, there's also some people asking. Again, don't want to flash forward, but asking some very direct questions about trauma.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Okay, just muse on that, and let me
Right.
know at the end of the episode if you agree with me.
Yeah.
So here we return now to Uche and Aaliyah.
And I was noting that Uche tends to speak without moving his eyes from one portion of the room, which makes him look a little bit, I don't know, just very intense. Mm-hmm. Get a lot of like intensity about even like his like jokes seem very intense because of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah. There's
Shark eyes.
yeah, little shark eyes.
What's your overall read on their dynamic?
I feel like I've seen this dynamic before. There's an aspect of just kind of enacting certain tropes of masculinity in him, like toxic masculinity, I guess, from especially from that first sort of interaction that he
Yes.
had with Aaliyah. But yeah, I guess I don't necessarily see anything super concerning because I'm for her to be able to kind of accept his apology. I'm sure that there's obviously a lot more that we don't see. There's a lot of their interactions that we don't get to see in any one of these pods. We're getting kind of cherry picked views of everything. And I guess, oh, there's a cat in the background again. I guess I'm trying to kind of give her the benefit of the doubt in the sense of I think that she would know how to make this choice a little bit better. And in that sense, I think that when I comment on the fact that he's just staring at a point in the wall, I'm judging just kind of mostly the way he's coming across, like what his delivery is. And he's not trying to frame that delivery because he's in a room alone, you know? Yeah. Those are my thoughts. I know you have different thoughts about Uche.
Don't forget, Andre had to watch the episode along with me when I couldn't stop analyzing this scene. Yeah, I'm having a much... It's important that y'all know that we do not have a cat.
We don't.
So whatever's happening right now, no idea. Yeah, I'm getting real bad vibes off of Uche. I think there's like a slow but systematic eroding of her self-confidence that I'm seeing in these interactions. And it's couched in enough innocence on his part that it's all deniable, but it's there. It's there. Like, there was obviously the interaction where she opened up to him about cheating. Which, let's not forget, he was asking her to be open. They were talking about honesty. Like, he was creating a safe space and then completely turned it on her.
Yeah.
And that left her feeling extremely shaken. All of the shame that she felt about having cheated is right back on the table, where she's a bad person and can she be given her solace through him?
Right.
That's not a good dynamic right off the bat. They had that weird apology where it was, again, like, I think as sincere and available as he can be, but left a lot to be desired. And now here it is, she's again opening up. And compare this to an interaction where she'd shared, what is she, like Splenda and honey? And his response had been, oh, babe, like, that's so weird, or that's so cute, or tell me how you eat that, or something, right? Where you're playing along with the it's so weird game, but in a fundamentally loving way. Feels very different from how he reacted, which was just like, oh, why do you do that? Which, again, he was doing it with enough playfulness in his voice, although heard on the eyes, it feels like a fight-flight reaction. But there was enough playfulness in his voice where it's like, would be even more confusing for her because she'd be like, something's not feeling right, but it's so playful. But the message she's getting again and again is how you are is not okay. And I just do not like the dynamic that I'm seeing between the two of them.
Yeah, that's a fair take. Yeah, so we move on from that scene. We get to see some dancing, a little partying action, and then we're back into the gas section where Chris continues to just be sad. It just looks sad. Looks like he's been recently crying.
Milton's talking about being into Lydia.
Yeah, and he seems kind of definitely probably ready to marry her. Just giving his little head shake of like, yes. But yeah, when we actually get to see them, we have Lydia ask the most blatant question,
which she's clearly read the formula for this season.
What's your biggest trauma?
Your biggest trauma. Yep, just pretty brazen. But again, if the Love is Blind recipe is pods plus trauma dumping equals love, she read the manual quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Hot
And
off the Izzy rejection, this chick is ready to get married.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then he does share his biggest trauma, which is pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
Having that back injury and being in the hospital, and yeah, it made him grow up. And then they end by sharing that they're into each other. And I just do not get sincerity from Lydia about that.
I see. Because she wasn't initially into him.
And even the way she says it now, it's nothing I can put my finger on, but there's a inauthenticity I feel in what she says. It's like lip service. It's like maybe it's that I don't see it in her body. I don't know. It's subtle. But I don't, and then of course at the end of the episode we find out something big. But see, even right now, it's like she's walking, but you can see when she's pressed up against the pod, there's no energy coming from her belly.
What a statement.
There's no energy coming from her belly. Like, she does not seem in her body right now.
When she comes to the edge of the pod.
Yeah, she seems kind of half dissociated right now. And that just is physically looking at her. Anyway, that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely.
She's carrying all of her energy in her chest up. Okay. Hope that translates to podcasts.
No, I can totally see it.
Repeat that.
But it's
Go
only
back
in a
and
show.
watch that scene.
It's only in a show about Love is Blind that you can talk about pods so
Yes,
much
yes.
and not sound totally wild and out there.
Here we are getting frisky back with the ladies' lounge.
Yeah, and we kind of transition from that to Johnny meeting up with Izzy, and whoa, this was quite the scene.
Yes.
with Izzy kind of saying, "Okay, let me put this out there," and then he just goes out and first
Yes.
kind of affirms his relationship with Johnny in a very nice, like, this is leading in a good place for Johnny. And then he's like, and then boom, it just switches text.
I really liked you. It was really great. And then, bam, I met someone I liked way more than you.
And she makes such a solid point in return. So her response to him is so, I heard that, and that was like very convincing,
yeah.
Totally convincing. And he goes,
Noted and next. Yeah.
And this is not what I was coming in here in this room to do.
Yes.
You know, I think he came in there being like, I'm going to compare you two, and then I'm going to break up with you. And then she gave the speech, and he's like, I already decided I was going to break up with you, so I'm going to.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to see this through. And she does share, and we have to compare and contrast this to what she tells Chris, is that she's telling him Chris would be the safe option. I could do that. It would be the same pattern, which of the relationships of her past few years, which seems to indicate that she went with the safe choice with her husband, ex-husband.
That's the part that's unclear, is we're left. So it's not that she's essentially saying that her previous partners were either all safe choices or they were all the not safe choice. And that's the sort of flip-flop that we're seeing. It's not that she's saying, I think everybody is correctly saying Chris was the safe choice, as in, like,
Yes.
she says
He
that
is,
to Izzy, she says that to Chris. But that the pattern is the thing that it's unclear whether she's repeating the safe choice or repeating the not safe choice.
Well, I think I think she has the two patterns. I think she has the one ex that was an addict that passed away, but he was not the safe choice. And then it sounds like she kind of rebounded into a marriage that was the safe choice, but she was bored or whatever. And she's saying she knows what the life with Chris would be like, which makes me think it would be like the life she had with her ex. And she's realizing she got really bored in that. She would get really bored with Chris too. Izzy's different. He's the exciting one. But it hurts to be rejected, and so she's going to go to Chris. But as far as the patterns go, I think the pattern she's referring to is the pattern of choosing the bad boy.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought too.
What she switches over to her story being is the pattern of choosing
The husband who...
the safe guy, yeah.
Yeah, that she
So.
didn't love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, interesting. And then he says, you know, it has to make sense to me, which is such a weird, because she immediately recognizes that as he's trying to break up.
Right.
I, for one, heard that and I didn't understand what he was trying to say. I didn't catch that his implication there was, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. Yeah.
But she catches that very quick, and they don't even spend a whole lot. I think she kind of thinks, in some ways, maybe thinks to herself, okay, well, I already shot my shot with the thing that I just said. And kind of dips out of there pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, which I get it. She's probably in what did I do land? Because she just let go of her safe choice and then got rejected by her top choice. So what's a girl to do?
Yeah.
And then we get to the scene where...
Well, we hear the episode title.
Yes.
You know, she says that she got blindsided. Yeah.
Yep, a talking head with Johnny.
And we get to see Stacy's, you know, side-eye reaction to her coming back into the room.
Right.
And as she's packing up, we get Taylor and was that Renee or Paige, one of those
I think
new
Renee.
people? Renee, right. And they essentially kind of say, hey, you don't have to go. You technically still have that other guy that you broke up with.
I'm imagining there's, by the way, just a bunch of B-roll of Stacy just looking pissed.
And to your point, always alone.
Alone. Always alone. The one time she wasn't alone was reading that poem. But, yeah, Stacy's got stuff, right? So I like also this plug for Where the Crawdads Sing, which is a great book. Yeah, where Johnny's like, oh, it turns out this seems so staged to me. This whole section.
You
where
think some producers
yes.
just went up? It was like, you know, we still
Absolutely.
have Chris. Well, I mean, we could use another relationship.
Show some remorse.
Can you just remind her that she's still got, like, he hasn't left yet.
Yeah, and they're there to talk her. She wants to be the good person that's letting go, but then they're encouraging her to keep trying. And so what should she do? She should just do it.
Right.
And then
we get to
the
this.
plot thickens.
We get to this Stacy Izzy scene that starts and with Izzy just being like, "This is fantastic. I've made a choice. I'm moving forward. I am moving forward with the person that I think is awesome because she's fun. She's super fun. Everything about her is great."
And she had that emotional vulnerability.
Yeah.
So great. 100% go. But it turns out that when you have that fear of abandonment, and so does your partner, that sometimes you can trigger each other. And, you know, we see that same thing, right? Like what happened with Johnny is that he had that attachment wounding triggered and he couldn't tolerate it. And so let go. And now it's happening again with her. And you see his reaction again. It's almost exactly like the reaction he had with Johnny, where he's just completely shut down.
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah,
yeah.
we'll talk about it in a little bit when we see. Yeah, the Chris and Izzy in the same room is a wild,
Oh
wild
my
scene.
gosh.
But to go back to this Stacy Izzy scene where he asks her like, "So, how about that L bomb?" And
Yes.
she kind of initially is like,
Uh,
"Well, maybe I've been thinking about it," and then starts like kind of going into her history, and then like sits on the floor and is kind of like, "I don't know if I can do this."
right.
Just, I mean, she doesn't put it in that way, but it's like you can tell that Izzy is like, "Oh crap."
Oh no. Yeah, she's got her stuff coming up again about not being able to be vulnerable.
Yeah, because
And
her body is not well
right.
conditioned for this emotional stuff.
And you know what is the part I feel the most compassion for is they both like really want to know how to connect with somebody else.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
their stuff keeps getting in the way. That's why I'm like, please go to therapy. Because, for example, like Stacy, I think does feel something for him, but that's so overpowering that she has to go to her prime defense of being like the cool, aloof person.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be loved, but is desperately afraid of losing that love. And
Right.
so hyper reacts whenever that threat comes up, and you just see it playing out. And it hurts my heart because at the end of the day, but they both just really want to be loved.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but you can certainly see Izzy kind of freaking out. Because in the next scene we see him
Yes. Very
at the
visibly.
boys' table, and his leg is going the whole time. We can see him bouncing, just slowly,
Yes.
just shaking,
They're
and just
still.
staring from side to side, and then just shooting daggers
Yeah.
at Chris whenever he's speaking to him.
Yeah.
Either that, or kind of staring off into the middle distance or the table, just panicking.
Yeah. Yeah.
That man does not know what direction to go.
He is not okay. He is not okay.
Yeah, and Chris kind of, to his credit, is not just saying "yay," going back, but he's got a little bit of okay. I feel a little bit like the second choice,
Yeah.
and I need to hear some more things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the expressions from Izzy are.
They are something else.
It's like he's an animated character. He's not even trying to make eye contact for the majority of the scene. Yeah, it's quite something to behold.
It is. It is very interesting. And we do, we go to the scene with Chris and Johnny. And, Johnny's kind of like, I'm thinking maybe I made a mistake. But also just kind of actively to
Yes.
Chris's face is like, you're not very exciting.
You're the safe choice.
You're the safe choice.
You're not that exciting,
And then
but I want to break my pattern. Let's get hitched.
yeah.
Yeah, and then she immediately is like, "So are we getting engaged now?"
Yeah, are we getting engaged? To which, he also is saying things like, all I want is you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that seems pretty definitive from your part, too.
Yeah, well, again, it's how much did the producers give them nudges? You don't know. If you accept it on face value, he's just heartsick and
Yeah.
trying to find a way for them to stay together.
Yeah,
Which, sure, we can play this game. Okay.
definitely.
So, looks like they're coupling off.
Well, maybe we know that he needs to think about it some more.
I think the answer will be yes. I mean, but this the expressions coming up hot off of Izzy.
Just scrolling, if you just scroll through Netflix and
Yes.
are seeing these stills
Highly recommend
of
you do this.
Izzy's face going from smiling to
Whoa, it is something to see. It's like a weird flip book.
In 3 or 4 stills, it tells the story better than any comic.
This is very memeable, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll put this on our Instagram.
Yes.
But
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
definitely the kind of a thing that, Izzy is bringing a different energy to the show.
Yeah, they could not be more different. And
Yeah.
just a moment, if you were at this table with them and you saw that this guy was having this kind of reaction like this, would you sincerely not notice? Because the other 3 they're not, or the other 4, I guess, are not commenting on this at all. That this man is clearly melting down
Just having
right
a meltdown.
in front of them.
Yeah.
That they're all cool as cucumbers, and this guy is about to turn into the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
How, right? It's like, how likely would that be? Wouldn't you at least be like, hey man, are you okay?
I hope they've said something.
I hope so too.
I hope they said
I hope
something.
so
I hope
too.
they said something and it just wasn't shown.
Yeah, but yeah.
So
Yeah, he's having a hard time. Cut to a random shot of them, Lydia and someone else, Renee, maybe. Man, Renee's getting a lot of
well, I'm assuming she's going to come up at some
airtime,
point
maybe.
soon. Unless she's, it has happened before that they've just had a couple that gets engaged and then you don't find out about them until way later.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
That took me by surprise. I assumed that they would have shown everybody the entire time, but
Too many couples.
Yeah.
All right, we have to pause before we get here because there's then a scene. Andre was skipping ahead to another scene. There's then a scene where Uche is giving Milton advice or listening to Milton talk about Lydia, and Uche's clearly having a hard time.
well, he's trying to ask questions of everybody to be like, who are you into? And Milton's like, I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I think he's trying to be gentlemanly in some ways, but I guess Uche is just kind of, come on, just talk to us, and he doesn't like his shenanigans because we see Uche is just shaking his head at the end, just after asking some questions to somebody there. It just sounds like, I mean, we also know that from Milton that he doesn't really like to open up about things, right? That he doesn't really want to be vulnerable. So maybe from his perspective, this is really inappropriate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make, I think, which I agree with everything that you said, and I think that's why Milton's having his reaction.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the focus of the scene was Uche's reaction. That bodes, it's like foreshadowing of the big reveal at the end of the episode to see Uche having a hard time hearing Milton talk about being in love with Lydia, right?
Oh my God.
Yes.
I that completely, I didn't actually think about this conversation in that context.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we see that scene, then we see this next scene where Lydia is having a really hard time hearing Aaliyah talk about being so in love with Uche. Like, you and I commented when we were watching it that Aaliyah's like, oh, it's so beautiful. And Lydia's like, I'm so happy for you.
I didn't get that. I also didn't get the fact that Lydia actively says, I've never had anybody love me.
Yes. Yes.
And she's like, Uche loves me.
Yes. Oh.
Uche didn't love me.
Uche said he's always, or I'm the one he's always been looking for. And Lydia's like, oh, he said that, huh? Drinks some wine.
I didn't take this into context
yes.
at all.
This is a triple play. It's
I
Uche's
know.
big reaction, Lydia's big reaction, and then boom, boom, boom.
But that's the
big
thing.
reveal. Yeah.
This scene, to see Lydia's reaction, I was like,
It's
what
so
is
bizarre.
what is up
right?
with Lydia?
It all
And
makes sense once you know what's up. Yeah.
well, look, you are putting it together for me, because that completely slipped by me.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. That's why Lydia was being so weird. Ooh.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That is a
She's
wild
being exactly
turnabout.
how you'd feel if your new friend started dating your ex, who you clearly still have feelings for, and then your new friend didn't know he was your ex and started telling you about how their relationship is.
Right.
Her reaction makes complete sense in context, but yes, then we jump over to the big reveal where the episode leaves off. Turns out, Uche, honesty's so important. Never would I ever lie to you. I can't believe you cheated. That same Uche, who, by the way, also cheated when he was 18, that same Uche says, oh, yes, except for that thing where I have been lying to you this whole time. Lydia's my ex. This guy's bad news.
Are we saying that? I mean, I'm not diminishing this at all, but are we saying that he was like lying by omission because he didn't bring this up, or was there a question at some point that was like, "Have you dated somebody else on this show?"
I think lying by omission.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, still
Yeah.
bad, but I wasn't sure whether I missed something, a conversation that might have happened.
And again, it's, if I were in his shoes, if I'm really placing myself there, I wouldn't exactly know how to bring that up either. And we don't know that he really waited this long to say something. Again, editing. So if it's true that they've been on very many dates by now and it's only now that he's saying it, yeah, that's kind of messed up. But we don't know that for sure.
Right.
I think what's even more striking, though, is, like I was talking about, is that Uche is not integrated and he's doing the splitting and projecting. How he feels about honesty is a very high standard for others,
Right.
but not a very high standard for
For
himself.
himself. Right.
And the anger that he feels. It's just, yeah. Look, I know it's the season of trauma is how you fall in love, and we can disagree or agree with that, but I think we can say they are certainly talking a lot about, they all have a lot to process that it doesn't seem like they've processed.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I don't like that. I feel like season 3 was the most like that. And that was by far my least favorite season. I like Love is Blind because it's not always just complete drama. And when there's all of these people that have this work to do, I am sure it's going to be a very dramatic season. And I would prefer if it was more of a season like last season, where
Totally.
there was drama for sure, but there were also some genuine relationships that emerged. I'm not really taken with any of these relationships.
Right.
So,
Well, all right. I think that brings us to the end of our episode 3.
yes. So, we will see you again at episode 4, the last of this round, and find out what the fallout is from the big reveal
Indeed.
about 2 exes being on the show.
And do we think, are we going to see another engagement, you think? I mean, surely we
Yeah,
must.
I think
At least a couple.
they'll end before they go on their tropical vacation, so we're going to have to see what all the couples are.
Right.
Which we know. I mean, it's going to be Uche and Aaliyah,
Johnny
Milton
and Chris.
Lydia, Johnny and Chris, Stacy and
Izzy.
Izzy,
That's
and then
okay.
JP and Taylor. So those are our
That
5.
honeymoon,
right?
that honeymoon's
Yeah.
going to be crazy. With that 4.
I know.
There's never, yeah, this is going to be interesting.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Till next time. Bye.